I'm looking at the Iowa impact on New Hampshire with Democratic political analyst Jesse Mermel and Jeff Simone, Executive Director of the Massachusetts Federation of Young Republicans. And let's begin with the spin that Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio put on the Iowa results.
The men and women of Iowa sent notice across this country that this election is not going to be decided by the media. That this election is not going to be decided by the lobbyists and the Washington cartel.
Not only am I principled and a strong conservative, but I can grow the conservative movement. I can take our message to people that have not voted for us before and bring them on and into the conservative movement. And that means we win the election and we win the future.
He's going to win it all, baby, all the way. Let's talk a little bit about Cruz first. You know, he really went with Politics 101, Campaigning 101, and showed how you do it.
50% higher turnout than 2012. 50%. I mean, that's a huge number. A lot of that is due to Ted Cruz's ground game, his data. If I ever run for office again, I'm hiring his data team. I mean, that was a phenomenal performance on their part. He needed to win Iowa, and he delivered.
And those are numbers that any campaign strategist would just die for.
Would die for. And the interesting thing is that they weren't the numbers that we were seeing in the public polls that were out there, but they had such confidence in their numbers. They had clearly put the work in, and he delivered. You know, I don't agree with Ted Cruz on anything, but I am sure impressed with the way they pulled that off yesterday.
A lot of the Republican Party, a lot of the folks who are really hardcore Republicans have said that they are more afraid of a Cruz presidency than they are of a Trump presidency. Now, here we have Cruz going into New Hampshire with the Iowa caucus win, and Trump has been polling very well in New Hampshire. What does Cruz need to do to win in New Hampshire?
First, the polls are wrong. I mean, we have to all agree on this, that the polls up and down, both on the Democratic side and Republican side, are flat out wrong. They have not gotten this right. They have not gotten turnout right. Massive turnout was supposed to help Trump. It didn't help Trump. Trump was supposed to win it. You know, Hillary was supposed to win by 4 points, virtual tie. But beyond that, what you're seeing right now is, personally, I would love to see Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio on a debate stage with Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. I think we win independence handily if that happens. Yes, there's trepidation about Ted Cruz because he doesn't get along well with others down in D.C. And that's part of his appeal to the base of this party that is really sick and tired of the quote-unquote Washington establishment, which has less and less meaning as the days goes on.
Jesse, one of the ways he won was also with a great connection to the evangelical voters. And although, you know, New Hampshire has its share, he's going to have to take a different path to get the voters out.
I think it's that live for your die spirit. You know, it's not necessarily the evangelical approach. I think it's the outsider approach that would appeal to New Hampshire voters. I think it's why Trump is appealing to them, because he is truly the ultimate outsider and the ultimate independent voice, at least in his mind. And if Cruz is going to have any success there, he's going to have to pivot off of a religious message and a faith-based message and really hammer home that outsider viewpoint, which I don't think will be any problem given the way the New Hampshire establishment sees him.
Now, Marco Rubio, who came in third in Iowa but won because they didn't expect him to be at third, is he now riding into New Hampshire, you know, gas tank full, ready to go? And what are our expectations for a Rubio?
He's in the best position. He's in the best position because he doesn't even have to win New Hampshire. He only has to come in second or a close third, and he does very well, and then moves into South Carolina where he can has a very good shot at winning it. He's in the best position, I think, to win the nomination when the other candidates run out of money and momentum, which they are already discussing, and it's already being discussed on the establishment side, so to speak, that they need to step aside because, I mean, it'll happen after next week, but once that does, it's going to come down to a theoretically three-man race, but I think really it's a two-man race between Cruz and Rubio.
And what's Rubio? Go ahead.
Oh, no, well, I agree with Jeff that Rubio is in a really strong position moving in, but what he faces in New Hampshire that he didn't face in Iowa is a Chris Christie who spent time really focusing on New Hampshire, is a Kasich who spent time really focusing on New Hampshire. I'm not sure either one of them is in a position to jump to third, but could they chip away at the progress he made in Iowa, rather, and impact his showing in New Hampshire? It's a slightly different playing field than what he saw
Yeah,
yesterday.
Chris Christie is all in New Hampshire. I heard him say today, you have to win. He's got to do really well in New Hampshire.
If he's not in the top three come next Tuesday night, he'll have to drop out soon now.
And Kasich has had his dad door knocking every weekend. He didn't play in Iowa. He put all of his eggs in the basket of New Hampshire, so they could get some good votes.
Listen, when I was a selectman in Brookline, I put my parents at polls, and those were the best polls for me. So the mom and dad thing is real. There's a bump there.
So it looks like Rubio's the establishment candidate. Is that going to help or hurt him in New Hampshire?
I love the universe that I'm in right now, where Marco Rubio is considered the establishment candidate. A Tea Party victory from 2010, and now for the Trump supporters and some Cruz supporters, or even Rand Paul supporters, call him an establishment hack. I love it. I think because of Barack Obama has swung the pendulum far to the left, Marco Rubio has brought it very well back to the right, center right. We're in a great position come November.
But are the live
against
free
the
or
badly
die,
damaged.
live free or die New Hampshireites going to be like yes, or can he play both sides? I guess I'm asking.
I think if you've been in the room when he's given a speech, which I have for several of them, and all the candidates actually, I think you will very clearly see how well he can articulate a very positive conservative message.
Well, last night Donald Trump didn't show any signs of disappointment in his second place finish. Here's his spin on his performance in Iowa.
There were 17 candidates. I was told by everybody, do not go to Iowa. You could never finish even in the top 10. And I said, but I have friends in Iowa. I know a lot of people in Iowa. I think they'll really like me. Let's give it a shot. We will go on to get the Republican nomination, and we will go on to easily beat Hillary or Bernie or whoever the hell they throw up there. Iowa.
What do you think?
Undignified.
Yeah.
We don't really need whoever the hell is up there. I mean, that's just poor taste.
Yeah.
He was doing so good. He was so gracious up until that point. Look, Donald Trump, I think
Well,
we've seen his
when
ceiling.
pigs fly, you have to just, even if it's only for a minute, you have to say, hey, a pig flew.
He did get a lot of compliments on his, I guess, concession
His
speech
quote-unquote
about.
humble.
For him, it was actually a pretty gracious speech.
Right, the bar for humility is a little different when you're talking about Donald Trump.
You know, Jesse, I think that his invisible campaign on the ground in Iowa was clearly not there. There was no on the ground. There were reports of people calling to invite people to caucus, but not saying that they had to caucus for Trump, just show up. It's surprising to me he didn't even do worse, but and of course, as he's often said, second is losing, and he came on in third. What's New Hampshire look like?
Well, his lead in New Hampshire is obviously bigger than it was going into Iowa, so we can't discount that, but field matters in New Hampshire in a really weird, really real way, also sometimes a really weird way. And I think that he's not going to be able to manufacture a meaningful field campaign in the course of a week, but he needs to figure out some sort of get out the vote operation, even if it's sort of haphazard, because otherwise he could very much see that lead shrink, given what we saw with Rubio, given Cruz's strong finish, and given the fact that these other candidates have been working hard. I think as a celebrity candidate, he may not be used to some of the, roll up your sleeves, get in there, work hard, knock on doors.
Maybe he could hire Kasich's dad to do a little part-time
Yeah,
work for him.
I hear he's good at it.
So we're anticipating a very important endorsement from New Hampshire tonight. The former Massachusetts Senator and former New Hampshire Senate candidate Scott Brown is reported to be endorsing Mr. Trump in just a few minutes. Help, hurt, who cares?
No difference.
No difference.
No difference. I mean, I know
He
this.
had a barbecue in his backyard for him.
Well, the senator's been hosting all the presidential
Yeah.
candidates in this cycle. I run it, like Jesse was saying, ground game means is an infinitely more impactful piece of this puzzle than endorsements at this stage. And he doesn't have a ground game. His ground game is non-existent in Iowa. Haven't heard much about it in New Hampshire on the ground. I know Cruz he's putting together another good ground game. I think Trump will top out around 25%, give or take, from the mid-30s where he's supposedly at now. Again, I think the polls are wrong. They've been proven to be wrong, and you're going to see kind of a close repeat of what we saw this week.
Yeah.
Scott Brown lost as senator running in New Hampshire, doesn't have
And in Massachusetts.
volunteers to go out and door knock, so,
You know, you called it important earlier. I think that's a generous description of the impact of this endorsement. You know, I hope the barbecue he hosted for Donald Trump was delicious, and that's probably, the best that's going
All
to
right,
come
here's
out of
our
this
flash
endorsement.
round, our flash round question. Can Jeb Bush be the Marco Rubio of New Hampshire?
No.
No.
Why?
Just too big of a gap to close, and I don't think he has the talent as a candidate that Marco Rubio has demonstrated.
The momentum is behind Rubio. There's no question about it
All right,
on
well, I'm
that
just
side.
gonna flip my coins and I'll figure it out. Thanks to both of you. I'll be back with a look ahead to Wednesday's show. You won't believe who I sat down knee to knee with.